Yo, it's the Smash Bros. Cast episode. Who knows? Crawler, what's up, dude?
Hey, how's it going? Crawler coming at you.
Johnny Bo, what's happening?
I'm at the bottom.
That's okay.
But
Here, for people that are watching. There you go. Is that
I thought you
better?
were there. You go.
Uh-oh.
Okay, I thought you were going in order, and I'm like, I'm at the bottom.
We have such special guests. One of these gentlemen had no problem whooping my ass continually on stream, and then has basically become my Morpheus. My albino Morpheus, Peon.
Jesus.
That's right.
He's always like, why did I beat you? And then he was like, do you think that's air you're breathing? And I was like, wait a minute.
Are we in the
Peon,
Matrix right now?
what's up, baby?
Josh, dude, great to be on here. I was just thinking actually the other day, it's been 3 years since that fateful day happened. You and I did sort of a 1v1 training session on your stream.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, I'm glad that you took so much from it. Like, if I'm your Morpheus, that means you're my Neo, Josh. You're the chosen one.
No, I'm not the one. That's my old motto on Xbox. I'm not the one. AV, you just memed the hell out of me in this B-roll with your hero here. How are you?
I'm doing really well. I can't. It's not memeing. It's totally legit. It's
Yeah, dice rolls.
it's all calculated. No, it's been. I am so excited to be back on because I just remember like some of my favorite memories were like kind of like I guess like having like collaborations with the podcast Smash Bros. Cast Beyond the Metagame. I'm just so glad that we're back here doing this. It's so much fun to be back.
You know what? It's just so great. There's like, do you guys feel like there's just something in the air? I know Sora was like exciting for a lot of people, right?
None of us cried on stream.
No, I didn't cry. There was no real emotion or
I did a
reaction,
little,
but you're so full of it. You're so full of it. But I don't know. Like, you know, part of me was thinking like, oh man, that's it for Smash. Like, we're not going to get any more waves of hype. But you like, Smash has lived on. I mean, look at Melee. It's still going strong for what 20 odd years. You know, like. The Smash ain't going anywhere. And yeah. I get people, I'm seeing people commenting all the time, like, yo, like, can I get coaching? Like people asking me for coaching. I'm like, yeah, just
this
roll.
Is not the person you're asking.
And
hey,
so
sometimes you don't have to be the best player to be to be a coach, you know?
That's right. That's absolutely true. You can totally spot, even if you can't always pull off the things you're trying to do, you can usually spot what's wrong and help people improve. So before we get started, we do have to talk about one thing, and that is manscaped.com. Head on over to manscaped.com. Now, I know a lot of you listening to this are Smash players and you probably barely shower, but if you're into grooming, save 20% and get free shipping by using coupon code N64Josh at manscaped.com.
They got deodorants in there.
And there is deodorants.
I mean, I think everybody just stopped listening right now.
You know, anybody that has been to any kind of a local or a major event, like, it's not a joke.
That was in the tweets at Genesis, I think, right? Like,
yeah, it was like, please shower, please use deodorant. Like, it's a known issue. So if you are on that road to cleanliness, pick up some Manscaped and take it 110%, you know? Like we say on the Nintendo Powercast, if you want to keep your princess in the castle, you got to keep the bushes trimmed around the flagpole. All right. So, so
not here too.
Might have to check one of those out, Josh. You sold me. See, I'm a ginger.
They're a really good product.
They sent them to all of us. So that weed whacker and that lawnmower, they're good stuff. They're good stuff.
I've had some traumatizing experiences in that realm, so
there's a guard. You know, there's a guard.
Do we need to have a training?
After after
think there
doing
are
the
some
show.
YouTube videos with some
and-
tennis balls and
Like, man,
How to shave a walnut.
please. I'll take all the help I can get here, Josh.
I got you. I'm here for you. So, one of the things we want to talk about tonight is the bait and punish, which to me feels like the bread and butter of Smash, right? Don't get me wrong. I feel like Smash is this continual jigsaw puzzle that I'm constantly finding out I'm missing a piece. And then I find that piece and I add it, and then it shows me more of the puzzle that I can then continue to work on. That's basically how Smash is. Like, there's not often that I'm not thinking about Smash and how I can improve my game, or what, I can remember at one point playing the game and just focusing on moving really quickly. And I remember like Mr. Cool Red Luigi was like, dude, your movement is crazy right now. And I'm like, that's it. That's Smash. I'm playing Smash. And then I would still get punished super bad.
Just roll.
Right? Yeah, just roll. And so the bait and punish is the chess match that happens in seconds, right? That is you guys have said time and time again. One of the things I remember you guys just trying to really ingrain in us, and you guys talk about it on your show and everything, is watching what your opponent is doing and punishing it, right? That's Smash in a nutshell. If you don't want to get hit, watch what your opponent is doing and punish it. But it's a matter of doing that in seconds, right? You're like, okay, I'm noticing they're running back and forth. I could jump in right here, but then I might back up to see if I can have them go for a grab that they're going to whiff, and then boom, I'm able to hit them with something and start chipping away at that percentage. You're a certain character like Luigi, you're going to want to get that grab at the zero. You're not going to want to just chip away, but after that initial damage, then it's it's free game to do the chess match. So what? And I mean, and Crawler and I have experienced this. Like, our last bit of B-roll was like, it was the most fun Smash we've ever played together, and we've been playing for 3 years since the announcement of this game. Like, and it was like literally just back and forth. It was that one opportunity to finish off a stock is what would typically take, that's what would win the match.
Mm-hmm.
And so I want to kind of just do a deep dive into this, and like, AV, maybe I'll start with you. Like, you know all about the progression as a Smash player. You've been in the thick of it for years and years and years. Do you recall when that, like, for you, was there a moment that you were like, yo, I'm starting to see, similar to like the Matrix, where it's like, oh, blonde, brunette, redhead, right? It's no longer code. It's just what is. Like, do you recall that happening?
I'm going to answer this question with something I've actually heard recently, and I think that it was so profound that I think everyone deserves to hear this. There's something that a Smash coach, Smash Ultimate coach, Korean, or Charles Thorin, he said recently. I think it was on a show or some content that he made. He talked about this concept called refresh rate. Similar to like your monitor's refresh rate. Every individual Smasher has this refresh rate that they're developing. And what does this mean? It means like how quickly you're able to refresh your action based off of the current situation. And what I realize is that my improvement, I think, directly correlates with my refresh rate. It's like, and a good example of low refresh rate is like, you do an option no matter what. You'll notice that when you're playing, sometimes you want to do an option because it feels good, and you do it anyway, regardless of what the situation is, regardless of what you see on screen. That's what we call like low refresh rate. I noticed that the more that I actively think about, okay, am I responding to what I'm seeing, to the visual and audio inputs? The moment that I'm responding to these things and that I'm actively like looking to act on these things, that's when I'm improving. So I would never like bring it to like one moment. But I know that whenever I feel like I'm improving, whenever I get that like dopamine hit from doing something really well, and it feels a little different, it's because I've recognized the situation and my refresh rate's increasing, and I do something different instead of doing the thing that I want to do, and my brain's like, oh, it'll be cool if I do this, or it'll be like, or if you're used to doing this, it's kind of canceling that out and saying no, do this thing instead. And I'd say that's what I would contribute most of like my improvement in the game too.
I go into every match thinking that like, okay, play your game, make them play your game, right? Don't just run in and I think Crawler mentioned it in the last episode, like it's like be intentional with your moves, right? Don't just throw them and like don't just throw it and hope, but like be intentional. Are they going to land? Are you doing them? But then it doesn't always execute, right? Because you just kind of get into the moment and you're like, or what I'm finding is the freaking quick play solo is the worst because you can get away with so many bad habits and then you run into a wall when you play against somebody that just reads everything that you're doing and baits you out and punishes you, right? And so it's like trying to go into each match that like in some cases this match may be a little bit boring, but I'm going to chip this percentage away until I win this match, right? So Peon, you're sitting there, I know you got something to say on this subject.
I have so much to say. So I mean, Josh, this goes back to a moment you alluded to in the beginning of the show where you called me your albino Morpheus, and we were playing, and you killed me, I believe it was the Mario F Smash and Smash 4. And I was like, hold up, Josh, drop the controller. How did you just kill me? He's like, oh, you're like, well, with an F Smash. I'm like, okay, well, what gave you that opportunity? Like, why were you able to land that F Smash in particular? And
I probably said luck.
You're like, I don't know, dude. You just ran into my F Smash. What are you talking about? And that's the biggest the biggest thing that I want to point out is while you're playing, even at a very low level, when you first kind of get a grasp of the controls and the game and how it functions, you're making these very subconscious adaptations to your opponent all the time. And you're responding, like with AV uses refresh rate analogy, you're responding to the visual stimuli of like, hey, this person just ran at me and air dodged. I'm going to forward smash. Like you're doing that right away. You're already learning how to punish. But what I would suggest, like a good way to think about this as a beginning player or even a mid to high level player, is you need to be intentional with how you are killing your opponents. And like the biggest antidote, the biggest battle plan I would draw up for like a low mid level player would be play the first couple of stocks of every one of your matches sort of defensively. Put your feelers out there. Like it's like you're at a party in college and you're sitting by the mixed drinks and you're watching the people, you're seeing the different social circles, and then you make your move. Same kind of thing. Like just dwell, relax, and then see, whoa, okay, is this the kind of person who lands aggressively from disadvantage, who attacks whenever they're like, getting comboed? Is this the kind of person who air dodges? Is this the kind of person who retreats to ledge and then kind of plays the ledge game? You can put these people into broader categories and then from there really sort of plan your punishes and how you're going to exploit your opponents.
It's one of the things that has been helping me a lot, and even speaking about like terms like disadvantage state, advantage state, neutral game, all those things. I mean, we've been talking about that for forever, but even listening to and watching high level play, right? And listening to them talk about how they're like stuff is happening so quick, right? But when you're watching MK Leo and like he's literally like moved and then moved again, and now he's striking because the last time he kept going like that put him in that advantage state right there, and he's now dealing the damage and then probably sending them off the edge, and now it's a whole like the game is continually progressing depending on where you are on the stage and what state you're in. And I think again, just like the thing for me is really being intentional about those moves. It's not just about running around and throwing in there and hoping it hits. It's not just about, playing with Mithra Pyra now. Like, I mean, Mithra's fast. She's lightning fast, but she's just chipping away. You're not doing a ton of damage with each hit. But now, I mean, and I started doing it more with Mario too, because the percentages dictate which move you're going to do after the down throw or the up throw, depending on the percentages. Pyra's going to probably come out around 60% because one well-placed F smash, and that's the stock.
Yeah. Well, and that's the interesting thing about I don't know. I suppose we were categorizing this as bait and punish, but adaptation comes in all shapes and sizes. Like there are times where, let's say, as Mithra or the MK Leo analogy that you talked about, there are times where he's adapting the entire match, right? Every single moment, whether it's in neutral, whether it's in advantage, disadvantage, every little thing he's picking up subtle clues that his opponent is communicating. And that sounds overwhelming, like that there's just this infinite amount of adaptations happening always. There is. I think the easiest way to break into this discussion is to look at one individual piece of that. So like adapting, like when I play a match, I'll think, okay, how do I kill this person when he's in disadvantage? Or what are his habits when he's in advantage? Does he like wait for my air dodges, or does he attack me right away? I would say like try to consolidate your adaptation. Does that make sense? Like, AV, do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, I was actually you kind of touched on something that's very close to what I was going to say, is that like when a new player comes in and they try to look at MK Leo's like adaptations and they try to digest all of this, it's impossible. Like, it's I'd say it's even impossible for even some of the best players to digest what's going through MK Leo's. And so what's the chance that you're going to be able to pick apart each of these interactions? It's
like a fry cook trying to like find all the ingredients in Gordon Ramsay's sauce, like, if it's tasty or if it tastes bad, but you don't know, all the different things, it's incomprehensible.
Yeah, exactly. So intentionality comes with like basically addressing each one of these things individually and slowly, like, I guess continuing with the cooking analogy, slowly like stirring that into the pot, right? I mean, a stew isn't made from kind of nowhere. You don't just, there's no like, there's no box recipes for
There's
like
a can.
Maybe there are actually for homemade stew. you gotta stir.
Grandma stew. Grandma adds one ingredient at a time.
Yeah. But even the meat, if you put some onions, garlic, little oil in the bottom of that pan, and then sear that meat before you then pour the rest of the broth in or whatever that you're gonna use, that little detail is gonna change the. It's going to change the way that stew tastes, right? You add a little flavor, right? Add a little flavor. So, John, I know, like, you've been on one episode with us. We kind of talked about mains. We talked about like this. We'd love to get into the deeper elements of Smash. So, at any point, like if you have any questions, anything like that, like this is all about learning. Like these guys are like a plethora of knowledge. So like, but by all means jump in. I know I want to say like Crawler and I feel like we've been such great teachers for each other because we've had to continually adapt, right? Like you guys got to play Crawler tonight. He got you with that up B coming back to stage, right? He's gotten me with that too, but it's been a minute now. Right? Like
he air dodges at the perfect time now and it pisses me off.
Yeah, and he'll still try. But at that point he's forcing it. And then if I hit him with the flood or something, he's gonna be in trouble, right? And so it's like you're continually going, well, this move did work at one time, right? And it still may work. It's very true with Mithra Pyra. Like they, you could throw Mithra's side B like I just did right there, but that wasn't safe. That didn't help me at all. And now there's the match, right? And so it's even Pyra with the up B, it's incredibly unsafe. Yet I played a couple matches with Antoine today and almost 3-stocked him with mainly using Pyra because I was able to catch how he would cape with his Mario, and I would up B and just drag him right in. And that, I think I took at least 2 of his stocks that way.
Dude, but like that's what I want to hammer in on, Josh. Is not only did you do that, but you're cognizant of it in hindsight, right? You know exactly why you won. And I think there's a lot of people that play Smash, even that are like mid-level players that can go to a tournament, win a set or two potentially, maybe even get to top 8, where they don't know why they won or why they lost. And that it's way harder to learn and to improve like on a macro sense, like from day to day, if you don't know exactly why you're winning or losing. And like there's so many people out there, and if it's if this reminds you of yourself, raise your hand, because I'm guilty of this, where I'll just kind of autopilot and I'll just attack. And then I'll realize, like, wait a second, like maybe I should wait for him to attack and then dodge that or block that and then sort of counterattack. Like, I don't always have to be the one to approach, and
especially online. I feel like I like the quick play stuff because you have to deal with the bullshit rule sets sometimes. So you got to keep your eyes out for that 3-minute 2-stock rule set that you get
with final smashes.
Yeah. And there's certain like entire character archetypes, right? Like I was at a local a couple weeks ago against a very good duck hunt. And game 1, I was just like, I was just running forward, getting hit by cans, gunmen, clay pigeons. I was just getting destroyed. And like I lost an entire game. And I'm thinking about it. I'm like, wait, why don't I just like not approach, And then I got the reverse 2-0. I won in games 2 and 3 because I just stood there, But like it took me an entire game. It took me much too long to realize that. And so I don't know. I would AV, I'm curious what your solutions are on this, but I would recommend like in between stocks, like use stocks sort of as like checkpoints to calibrate like your sort of adaptation or your bait and punish play. Like, hey, what worked that stock? What didn't? What am I doing wrong? Like even taking a moment or two, a second or two, despite how emotionally invested you are in the match, to like dwell and to think about it consciously. I don't know. Is that too much? Am I asking too much?
I don't think so, but it can sometimes in a tournament setting can sometimes be very difficult, like calming your nerves. I think that's an entire skill that needs to be developed. It's like an entire skill that needs to be developed and trained, which is just being aware, like having that awareness and having the processing power to have like active brain power and active thinking during a match. That's something that definitely needs to be practiced. A lot of people, I think, especially like I'll play with a lot of people and I'll ask them to tell me like what they're thinking. I'll ask them to tell me like what's going on in their head, very much in the same way that you did Peon when you asked Josh, like, okay, how did you kill me? And most people are just not used to it at all. Because in friendlies, and when you're just playing your friends, when you're just playing online, it's not something that you do really. It's not a muscle that you stretch. It's like you don't stretch the active thinking muscle when you're just playing friendlies, but you have to actively do it. You have to actively say, okay, I'm going to play serious Smash here. I'm going to be thinking about what I do. And the reason that you don't do it is because it's exhausting. You can't do it. Most people cannot do it for like more than 30 minutes or an hour because you start seeing all of your mistakes. You start seeing everything your opponent's doing and you see everything and you get frustrated because you see everything and that frustrates you because you know exactly what needs to be fixed.
I think Josh and I have more intense matches than when we're GSP grinding, just playing each other.
Well, and even when the first few nights, I think the first night John jumped in with us, like it didn't go well for him. And then like the next
Keep
time,
bringing that up.
The next time, yeah, but the next,
sore about it.
The next time though, you were like, you were making jokes about how this is your house, like you totally adapted, and it was like we couldn't get away with the stuff. Like, I think we all know what our characters are capable of and what the cheap stuff is that you're going to get away with, especially if people aren't expecting it. Like, I can cape stall on ledge against most people and almost guarantee a back air every single time. Do you know how many times I do the that stall against crawler now? Try never.
I'm gonna bite you.
Like, yeah, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. And John adapted so very well. And then the next time we played, it was like this triangle of like, I can't remember if I beat John and
I
he
beat you,
Crawler, and
you beat John, and John
yeah, it
beat
was
me.
around the
yeah, it was just round and around and around, and it's a continual adaptation of like, but like AV was saying, we jump in when we're just friends, just kind of goofing around, and it's just kind of like, oh, I'm just on autopilot, right? And
I'm usually the one that gets baited. I'm really good at getting baited, Some might call me a master at it.
Yeah, well, I think. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, John.
I've noticed, like, I could see things happening, like right before I recover too high or something. I know I'm gonna get punished, and I don't know how to fix it. So I need to really observe maybe check out my replays and see how I could have recovered differently or came back to stage differently.
Well, let's assume that you are dying in a way like where you see it, like you're dying a lot. You're gonna hit by the same punishes. Maybe like your friend keeps F smashing you, right? And I think that's a good thing to hone in on. Sort of like I was suggesting earlier, that you might want to consolidate the way that you think about adaptation. So in this instance, you'd be consolidating, just looking at like, how am I dying? What am I doing wrong in disadvantage? Right? Is the question really? And usually there will be a theme. It will be either you're burning your double jump too early and you're landing sort of, you're using all of your options while in disadvantage too quickly, and then now you have nothing left, you're getting punished. Maybe it's like you're using one attack like that's very unsafe too often, or just attacks in general that are unsafe too often, or maybe you're like air dodging a lot. There could be a lot of these things, or one of those things that's happening. But that's actually how I would advise people to work on this skill, is just look at one aspect at a time. Like, John, I think that you should literally, next time you play Josh and Crawler, every single time that you die, I want you to like be able to write a 5-page essay on why. Right? Like, seriously. Like
and then make Josh read it, because I know how much he loves to read.
Exactly. And then next time you play, you could say, okay, well, like, what is Josh doing poorly, and like what habits of his can I exploit, and play with that sort of hunter's ravenous mindset. I don't know.
Yeah, I've noticed, I've only been playing with Josh and Crawler for, maybe close to 2 months now. And I've noticed that I've been able to, read their play a little bit more. Now that Josh is using Pirate Mithra, it's a little bit of adjustment to get used to, as opposed to the Mario. But I just joining the podcast has made me want to get better and want to learn how to be. I don't think I'll ever be a pro, but like, I don't want to be.
But we can at least be high tier softball, right?
we could be in the beer league. We could be in the beer league.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the role we get to fill in Smash. Like, we don't have to be pro, but we can have a great time getting to that, like working towards that, and just improving as players along the way. Like it's cool, like jumping on stream and then getting a number of wins and having people be like, yo, I can see where you've improved here. Yo, this is like, that kind of stuff like is great, versus like when I started and it was just a continual ass whooping for like a year and a half straight, of just like eating nothing but humble pie. But it was like, this is the diet you need to get to that next level, right? There's no way around it. You're not going to you're not going to grow without that humble pie.
My viewers are even like, you used to be trash. Like what happened? Like, you actually could hold your own for the most part. For I don't know, at least my Terry. Sora needs a lot of work.
Wait, Johnny, I want to talk about something though, like something that I really like and something that's actually really missing in a lot of people that you showed, like by recognizing like your own habit, is that many people, when you ask them like, what are my habits, are really unable to answer it so specifically. There's a really good like analogy that goes with this is a little like it's going to sound a little tangential, but with people that like try to quit smoking, for example, like sometimes like the best like way to like know how to like stop a habit is by just placing a marker, placing this like placing this mental post-it note every single time you do something. And so like I feel like you're doing that. You have that like marker every single time that you recover high, or every single time like you're doing something. And sometimes I think you have to accept that that's actually like honestly the most important step, because eventually your brain is going to hate, like is going to see that eventually you're going to be placing that marker every time you place that, and then you're like, wait, and then there's that one time maybe after like 15 or 20 or like 100 times you place that actively, you place that over and over again, but then on the 101th time you're like, wait, wait, I've been here before.
Yeah. See, like recognition is the mental part, and the punish is like the actual like grindy, gamey, like physical part, right? So in terms of like accelerating your progress, like you can't really shortcut learning how to appropriately punish every move in the game. It just takes experience and practice. But you can shortcut the recognition aspect of it by being extremely conscious of it. Like AV is saying, that post-it note analogy is great.
The thing to kind of go back a little bit too, to like what you were talking about, Peon, about the just stopping, like stop being the freight train. Like that's me, right? I mean, it's just that's just me. I will, like ask questions later. You know what I mean? Like it's just like it's always been me in first person. I'm always the first one to die. Like the first one to throw a grenade at my teammates. And so.
Why do you think that is?
I can tell you exactly why it is. Because
it's fun.
When I played 64 games with anybody in the neighborhood, I could do that and it was unstoppable.
Yeah.
And then you run into people that are better and you're like, what do you mean? No.
Exactly. You learn bad habits based on skill over less skilled opponents, and then when you meet your equal and or greater, you're just wrecked by your bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
So if you play an FPS game for the first time, Josh, like if you let's say you download, I don't know, Halo Infinite when it first drops, are you going to like run and gun right away, or when you first pick up a game, are you kind of like stealthy, like figuring things out, or is it just like baked within you?
Like with Halo, it depends. It's going to depend on the mode, but like typically, I'm going to do my very best to just get a hold of a BR. And the thing is too, I recognize it, right? So once you recognize that you do that, you stop doing it as often, So like
he's less of a go-getter in big team battle as well.
Oh yeah, I will play more defensively and make sure I have the sniper, just because that's what I enjoy doing. Yeah. Like it's just I'll play defense and like big team capture the flag or whatever, and especially with the new weapons, skewering the warthog, like there's nothing more satisfying, right? So yeah, it's something that I've had to, and plus, like you just realize it's like if you want to win, and you may have to play a little scrappier than your opponents, right? It may have to be like, yo, I planted this grenade just perfectly as I was turning around and was able to get the headshot. And in some cases I don't, and I lose that gunfight, right? It's just the way it is. And so when it comes to Smash though, like I remember watching some of the tournaments, right? And I love that I have like a front row seat to everything with these. I mean, everybody that's watching, I guess, has the same view I do a stream, but it's like I remember this Dr. Mario that just ran through everybody in my tournament. He was just the anime avatar, Dr. Mario, like but I almost felt like he just stood there and waited for you to mess up, and then just punished you so severely every time. And you would watch, and I noticed it with my own gameplay where like I'm jumping in, I'm trying to force a back air, I'm trying to force a fireball to a grab. I'm not crossing up correctly. I'm hitting shield and then just leaving myself vulnerable. Like it was a continual thing of like just like force. And it's hard when you watch high level Mario play. You're like, yo, there's just so much movement and there's like combos and like, how are they even getting these grabs? How are they even getting close enough with those short arms to get the grabs? And it all boils down to the bait and punish.
Mm-hmm.
It's that chess match that's happening in 10-second increments between foxtrotting at the bottom of the stage and seeing where your opponent is, what they're going to do. I played against a Banjo today in GSP. He would shoot a grenade and then up B and then float over and then dare right into the stage every single time. And then he would go to the other side and rinse. And that was pretty much all he did. So I was like, literally with Pyra, I would short hop dare as he was coming down and just smash him right into the stage. And he didn't learn. He didn't learn. He literally gave me his boss pattern as and it was, and that's essentially, if you want to break Smash down, it's essentially every opponent is a boss. You've got to figure out the pattern before they figure out yours.
I actually do want to talk to that. I want to talk to that to 1 second because I disagree to some extent.
Okay, Geb.
I think at the beginning, it's a boss thing. It's like but eventually it evolves to like an AI. It's like you're fighting an AI boss.
Sure.
Because there's more than one layer to it. So Mr. Banjo is only doing the same thing. Let's just say you adapt and you start getting that guy over and over again. Mr. Banjo is not changing what he does.
Right.
But a mid-level, maybe mid-high level Banjo, the moment that you start adapting to that, he adapts back. And he adapts and he changes like, oh, this is how you're countering this. I'm gonna counter that, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So that's I think the interesting nuance that comes with the bait and punish, that there's like this infinite like layers to it,
But to back Josh up here, like I think, and like the newer you are at the game, the more relevant this is, like, to your point, AV. But if you are the second person to act, a lot of time people will do unsafe options. Like if the Mr. Banjo does the same stupid option again, where down airs unsafely, you don't have to adapt until he gives you a reason to adapt, right? Like if what you're doing is working over and over again, you should acknowledge that and, like, to yourself, put the post-it note on that fact, like, wow, he really isn't adapting. But like, keep on hitting him. You know what I mean? Like,
but also put an asterisk on that post-it note and be like, not a common occurrence.
Yeah. I think to add clarity to it, it's like, this is a level 1 boss.
Yep.
Yeah,
yep. Right? I could totally agree with that. Yeah, totally agree. There's a level 1 boss.
It's the end of level 1, and the boss is like literally shooting, jumping, and landing.
It's glowing red, telling you exactly where to shoot.
Exactly.
like I played Dark Wizzy at Genesis 6, I think it was, on stream. It's on YouTube. And I kind of got bopped. I mean, I think I took one stock each game, but there was an ocean between me and him, clearly. And I immediately, like, even while I was fighting that match, I realized that he kind of immediately adapted to what I was doing, and he was just using a whole bunch of safe aerials to prevent me from going in on him. And I just couldn't get past his wall of aerials, and I never did. So he never stopped doing them. Right? Because there was no reason to. What he was doing was working. He was just walling me out with aerials, preventing my approaches. And he smoked me because I wasn't. Maybe it was the nerves. Maybe it was he just used his aerials very well. I mean, probably both. But like, I was the noob. I was the level 1 boss, and he just put me to school.
At least it was Smash 4, and he didn't 1,000-year up tilt you, right?
Oh yeah, anything's better than that. But yeah, but AV's right though, especially like you said, Crawler, you and Josh have had all these years of adaptation, been playing for 3 years. So there's so many levels to when you guys play, like there's so much back knowledge. But I don't know, just an interesting point.
Yeah. And I mean, even, I know the first night I played with John, he adapted to everything that I did, and I was not able to do, and then that's where you start to go, why did this work last time? Well, he learned, he adapted, and then I wasn't adapting because I was still trying to force those sour moves that were just no good anymore. And that's why I was losing. Right. I mean, because he was just his Terry was like unstoppable for one night. And it's been very odd, like the way that the three of us jump in an arena, and it's just a back and forth, of of adapting, reacting, and it's just this continual growth, and it's great. And but man, the more I think about like the GSP grind and just the things that we can get away with, that we're like, I think part of it is we like it. You know what I mean? We're like, yo, I like that I can like full hop.
Yeah, I love
fireball.
stamina battles.
Yeah, yeah, I love
stamina battles with final smashes on. Those are my favorite. Please have that on.
Well, that's the interesting point, though, that I think that as you play against familiar opponents a lot, like your traditional training partners, and this is something that I've observed across the board. This is ubiquitous. This isn't just exclusive to you three. People stop doing really good options that no longer work against your friends because they've seen them before. But leveraging a matchup unfamiliarity, but also B, just the fact that they don't know your play style against tournament opponents or online opponents, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, you should definitely exploit the stronger parts of your character's kit. And until your opponent proves to you, hey, I know how to deal with that. That's not going to work on me. That's the one big takeaway I'd give to like mid-level players is don't be afraid to use the cheese if the cheese works. Like, use your strong attacks, use your smash attacks, use your like big old kill moves until they prove to you that it's not going to work, because it likely will.
100%. This is so I don't know. I was just like smiling so much when he said that, because that's like, I feel like that's such good advice that I never hear ever. And it's like, it's crazy how like when you're playing, I want to like kind of bring this back to when I was playing Peon every day. So Peon and I were like our main training partners, and we played a lot against each other, and he was like the best player in the region, but I wouldn't, but I'd like beat him like maybe like 70% of the time, but he'd beat everyone else. And
dude, John, we need to get some new friends, dude. We need to get some new friends, dude.
But
I know.
No, wait, hold on. I'm forgetting the point here. I'm saying Peon was definitely the better player, but I wasn't. I think I was like optimizing my play for beating him and not for beating like 80 or 90, 95% of that of like the actual world, and there's times when you grind over and over against like the same person. Like, Peon was really smart. I think he'd actually use he'd like very much like try different options, like still like treat it as if it was going to be like a tournament set, and I think, and it was very clear he got like, I mean, I want to let you tell your own story, but you got to like to be like one of the best like unranked players in SoCal, I'd say, because with your results.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I went from a nobody to having a PGR win, and AV, I'd give you a lot of the credit, but that is the thing, where, I suppose contextualizing your practice sessions with your most intimate partners, like the Crawler, like, just because something isn't working against Josh anymore, Crawler, doesn't mean you shouldn't abuse the hell out of it whenever you can and not feel guilty about it, because
I mean, we're about to see in this next match, right? Where where Crawler just totally gets you with the up B.
Yes.
And like
Yes.
and then Josh kind of I remember you piping up right after I think or Crawler, you said that, oh yeah, Josh never gets hit by that now because he always air dodges, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, this is really interesting because my initial thought was to continue to grow, I needed to let go of things that, but I've had an instance like where, I would do that cape stall on the
Mhm.
ledge. And I remember fighting Mr. Cool Red Luigi, I believe, and he was like Daisy or Peach, and he got he pulled the X eyes or whatever, right? What's the exact
Stitch
term for
face?
that? But Stitch face, and I did that cape stall right into that Stitch face and killed him for the final stock, and he was just like, "What?" Right? So like, in certain circumstances, it can still work. And I noticed tonight, and AV, maybe you may be able to speak to this. I don't know. But during our matches, I rolled on stage 3 times. And I noticed on the third time that you almost were lined up exactly where I needed to, like where you needed to be to punish that get up. And I didn't roll back on stage again after that. Cause I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, he's looking for it at this point. So I don't know if
Yeah.
you recall that happening, but like that was one of the things I was like, okay, I've rolled, like I'm keeping a mental note of how I'm returning to stage during the match. Cause it's like, okay, 3 is about the max. And now I'm going to mix it up next time. Cause it may put them in a spot that if they're going for that, I may be able to get in and do, I may be able to bait something out. Right. And then,
Yeah. Honestly, like I was a little too busy reading to look at ledge options.
The problems with the hero, right? You got to read during the match.
But I'll say that one thing that I did, if if you were doing an option over and over again, I think I would have noticed it. And I was actually and I don't like really remember you doing one option over and over again, but that all could be because I was reading. But I will say I didn't recognize you rolling over and over again. And maybe in the past, like that's something that you've been that you were kind of using as your go-to option off of the ledge.
I never used it until a couple weeks ago.
Really?
And then now I'm realizing that, especially as Mario, there are times that I can roll to an up smash and take a stock fairly easy because I'm one way or the other, I'm probably going to hit that if they're not expecting it. Right. So I may do some high recoveries, but then when I get in to see the percentages or where I could get a kill with the smash attack, I'm going to do a roll and see if I can pull something out. And sometimes they're waiting for that high recovery, and they're like, usually I've caught plenty of people off guard with it, and so it's been good. But I also have to make sure that I don't just go into autopilot and start rolling on stage every single time, or going high every single time, or doing the cape stall. Right? I can go to the GSP grind and cape stall every single match because nobody's used to it, and then I will just get punished on stream or against Crawler and John because it's not reliable.
But I think there's something really important to take away from that interaction, Josh, where you noticed that you had been rolling on a stage and you had yet to be punished by AV for it, but you already adapted. Like you gave AV the benefit of the doubt, saying, "Oh yeah, like I've shown this card a few times now. Maybe I should put it back in the deck. Pull it out later." And that there's a lot of wisdom in that, and that's sort of when you adapt your play to different varying levels of opponents. What I always do when I play, like let's say I'm in a major, let's say I'm at the upcoming Genesis, and I'm playing my round 1 pools, and I have no idea who this guy is. Maybe he's like the number 1 player in Montana or something. What was that, AV? And I like
Wyoming.
right away. Right away.
I feel like there's a story there.
Oh, let's just say, baby, if you want some money, you better you
feel
gotta
so
go to some
bad for this
tourneys
guy.
in Montana. Okay,
We've trashed on
All
this
right.
guy so much already.
It was Wyoming. It was Montana. I don't know. The dude could drive.
was saying I gotta
Yellowstone.
move to Wyoming. So
Oh.
I could,
This guy was the best player in Montana, the worst player in the West Coast. It was insane. But regardless, I didn't know that at the time. So you give players like the sort of mid-level benefit of the doubt. Is what I do. And so against someone like AV, who he's a good player, I think that was extremely wise for you to adapt even before you got punished for it. That's a sign that you're really adapting at a pretty high level.
Well, it just looked like he had the read. That's what I was seeing. That's what I was picking up from him. Obviously, he didn't have the read; he was reading. But either way, I was like, that's some of the things that I'm trying. I mean, we've been playing against Crowzone. I've been playing with Crowzone quite a bit. His
DDD?
what? No, his
Kayuza.
Yeah, that is
Kazuya.
Kazuya is ridiculous. It's like he literally just stands there and mocks you. Like, I think the only character that's more disrespectful in Smash is Steve when he's mining and just not even paying attention to you. And you're just like, I'm right here. Look at me when I'm trying to throw back airs at you. But Crozo just stands there. And you're like, I don't know how to approach. And he's not approaching. He's just like standing back, shooting laser beams, like, and then you approach, and he's like 18 hit combo, followed by a laser off stage, and you're just like, what do I do here? It's like a brick wall.
Yeah.
And I think the only time the only time I beat him is we did a. I was Mario. He was Mithra Pyra, and the final stock he up B'd and did not grab ledge, and I flooded and just and he was like, why'd you gotta do me like that, bro? Why'd you gotta do me like that? And it's been super fun, but like the thing that one of the things I want to talk about, and you guys could probably, I was talking to Crowzone about this. There's an interaction that happens on the regular with Smash where you see within the neutral game and sometimes it's neutral game, sometimes it's advantage, disadvantage state, whatever. You'll see characters in grab range. Okay. And it's like, I've watched Crowzone do this to me continually, where he has that part of it's just a read where he's like, I know he's going to shield right here. I'm just going to drop and grab. Right. Like that's just a clear read. But there's these interactions where it's like shield, the other opponent, and then in spot dodge, they go for a grab, they miss, they spot dodge. Like there's this dance that seems to happen often. And I feel like that's not something I don't see that dance because I'm typically just shielding and then not spot dodging. Do you guys do you guys know what I'm talking about? That kind of dance that happens with the shield with the grab, spot dodge, and I feel like if I finally start spot dodging in the right times, it may be pretty beneficial to me,
Yeah, well, I think that those out of shield sort of, I don't know, we'll just say clusters, are informed very much so by the characters that are involved in the sort of scrap, and also like what percentage both players are at. Like you're a Mario player, Josh. I mean, historically, that's your guy.
Mm-hmm.
And spot dodging isn't really that good of a thing for Mario generally, because you don't really get a lot out of spot dodge canceling. Like any character with a sword, like Pyramithra, for instance, in your example, she has down tilt, she has forward tilt, she has jab. She has 3 really good options that you can all spot dodge cancel. So that's when you spot dodge and then do any normal attack, you cancel the lag from the spot dodge. So anyway, my point is I think that what you're talking about is just a symptom of the character that you've played. I think that Mario likes to go for the grabs there, or he'll roll away, or maybe jump and do a back air or something. But Mario out of shield you don't have a ton of options, so I wouldn't be too hard on yourself. I think that like your strengths and weaknesses as a player are completely informed by the character that you've sort of leveled up with.
I feel like there's one more story to be told there, though. Just something, Peon, Peon, that you brought up earlier that I really want to at least bring into the conversation. which is the idea of you mentioned that once you've seen your opponent do an option, you now respect it, right? And one of the really important things is that if you never do an option, so Josh, let's just say you never spot dodge, that means I'm never going to go for the spot dodge read. And the spot dodge read is actually something that I look for a lot in Ultimate because people are spot dodging everywhere normally. But like Peon mentioned, it's like I don't have to respect that option at all if you don't do it. And maybe yes, it's maybe it's indicative of maybe Mario doesn't benefit a lot from spot dodging, but there might be cases where it's useful to kind of just spice it up, just throw it in a bit of paprika, and it's like you throw it in and and you throw it in and suddenly it's a good option. So if you use every option in these varying amounts, you suddenly become unreadable. So when you think about the bait and punish defense game or defending against bait and punish, you think about, okay, let me do everything a little so that they have no idea what's coming.
Yeah, I love that.
It's funny that you say too how you oftentimes are going for the spot dodge read, because there are times that I feel like I've almost baited out where people think that interaction is going to happen, where it's like spot dodge, whiff the grab, spot dodge. And a lot of times I just sit and then just punish as soon as they come back into. It's not every time, right? That's not what I'm trying to say, but there are definitely instances where, especially with Pyra, where I'm like, I'll just stand, watch him spot dodge, and then the forward smash is charged and ready to hit right before they can hit shield. Like I've had that on numerous occasions. And so I think that's kind of where I'm getting at, like you were saying, AV, where it was just it's another thing that throw it a couple times so you can maybe bait something out that one time you don't do it, and now they're just sitting there vulnerable, right? And you can then punish it. So well, we've hit an hour. I feel like, Crawler, we didn't even get to hardly hear from you.
No, I feel like I was there.
Okay, all right. I hope
this was a learning experience for me. I enjoyed it.
For real?
So I was more of a listener on this one. It was very insightful because I'm learning from very talented people. So
absolutely,
John. All I've learned is that Crawler and Josh like talking about beating you, and AV likes to talk about beating me, man.
I know. And
we gotta split.
There's no video proof of this ever happening. So
Oh, I love it. Well, we're gonna have to do this again very soon. We are calling you guys out. Get your community together. Let's do a crew battle. The Smash tournament is going to be happening again in November. We're working on the rule set right now because we had basically our rules are going to be very simple. Like, don't talk trash to your opponents. We're here to have a good time. We're here to be, have good sportsmanship, and that's what it's about. It's about, we want people that are learning to grow, not be told, oh, you're shit at the game. That's not helping anybody, right? And that's not the point of what we're trying to do. So we're working on some definite rule sets, just more updated rule sets. As soon as that's ready, the signups at n64josh.com/smash will be up.
There were 75 participants in the last one, weren't they?
Yeah, it's 75
there were
people.
A lot of people.
I'm thinking this is going to be at least another $100 grand prize at least.
Thank God for Manscaped.
Right. So what could I say on TikTok to get a lot of views so I could sponsor this thing?
Yeah, we'll come up with something. We'll come up with something.
I want to see AV dance on TikTok for this.
Oh, no.
All right. Jumping on his bed, getting weird. Hey, Josh, I don't want to just blow past. You just challenged us to a crew battle. What are the specifics? I mean, we accept, first of all. Second
perfect.
Of all, what are the terms here? What's on the line? What's the format? You got good. My juice is pumping.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we some of the logistics we'll have to figure out, but I mean, I know we could probably put together like 15 to 20 people, maybe more, maybe less. Like I don't know how it can take a
20
super
people for
long
each
time.
team.
I mean, we can figure out, like I said,
We
the
don't need to go
logistics
that
and the
big.
numbers.
This is a
but,
crew war. This is no longer a battle.
That's gonna take forever. Like,
This is
We'll just do battle royale.
I know on our end there's going to be a lot of people that'd be like, "Yo, let's go, let's take them
Yeah.
on." So like,
oh, we could rally the
so
troops.
it could be the kind of thing too where we you guys probably have a good idea of like your intermediate and beginner players, and we could bring out, because we have a league in our Discord, so like we know where a lot of people are at, so we
Yep.
could easily put the different crews at the different skill levels, because when we've done our crew battles with the leagues, we put beginners against beginners, intermediate against intermediate, and so on. So I mean, for the most part, we kind of try to stagger it that way, right?
Yep.
And so depending on the we can get some kind of a sign up going, and then see how many people we have, and then how we want to break it up. And who knows, maybe it has to be like a month-long crew battle where it's like Sunday BTM versus SBC. Like,
let's get ready to rumble. Dude, we gotta, yeah. Does the losing podcast have to make like an hour-long podcast about the other podcast?
Yes.
We have a 30-minute segment about N64, Josh and Crawler's beards.
Yeah.
I think you have to demonstrate how to use the Manscaped product. Not on yourself, on
a nectarine.
On a neck.
Yeah.
Well, I'm a ginger, Josh. There's not much of a difference. There's
So,
not
yeah.
much of a difference.
That's we'll get the details. We'll get them all figured out. But I know we have a little bleed over between the communities, and there's gonna be no hard feelings if somebody wants to play on one team versus like this is all just for fun. And honestly, maybe
don't
we
fight
can
over me. You don't have to fight over me.
Maybe we could raise some money for like Christmas gifts for kids or something. Maybe we could make it like a charity event.
That would be very fun. If we tied it back to some sort of what's the word? Well, AV, help me out here.
A charity stream?
What?
No, what's somebody who helps people for a living?
Philanthropic?
Like a non-profit.
Thank you, Crawler. Thank you, Crawler. A
Yeah,
philanthropic event. Yes, sorry. I haven't helped
Charity
people in
event.
so long.
That's a
but I'm
big
forgetting
word for
the
charity.
words. No, that sounds like a wonderful idea, Josh. And I like the Christmas idea for kids in need. That's a really cool angle. It'd be really fun.
Yeah, we'll get the details going. So AV, tell everybody where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter at the letter A plus my long Indian last name. Now it's my long Indian last name is Vaidyanatha, but a lot of people may not know how to spell that. So you can find us at the Beyond the Metagame Twitter account, but
and that's in the description, right?
Yeah, I always forget where the Beyond the Metagame Twitter account is, so I think Peon can help me out there.
Well,
yeah.
I could help you out. So that Twitter handle is at Beyond Metagame. That's right, at Beyond Metagame. The podcast that we have is called Beyond the Metagame, but Twitter does not care about that. You can find me at Peon_BTM. That's Bravo Tango Mike for all you military folk.
Crawler, where can we find you?
Podcasting around the clock, and Nightcrawler724, Nightcrawlers without the E on Twitter and other places. Yeah.
Johnny Bo, where can we find you?
You can find me pissing people off on TikTok a lot. But I am Johnny Bo everywhere. Twitter, Twitch, YouTube. And I'm also podcasting because Josh drags me everywhere now.
I know we've got like 14 shows, but it's all good. It's all good. It's something good's gonna happen from all this, I believe. So you guys can follow me everywhere at N64Josh. I think there's podcasts or Twitters for these shows, but I don't even know what they are anymore, how to log into them. So there you go. N64Josh.com/Discord if you want to get on the Smash League. And of course, please go and listen to Beyond the Metagame. It is a great show from hosts that have a much larger vocabulary than anybody on the Smash Bros. Cast.
Yeah, I don't know what anything you said was, so
Hey, Crawler
I'm
knew
gonna re-listen
philanthropic.
to this and look up. I'm gonna have a dictionary.
A
I'm gonna learn
thesaurus.
to be a hero main by reading the dictionary.
There you go. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Bye now.